Today I fucked up by borrowing my wife's laptop and finding her Reddit account. As the title suggests, I borrowed my wife's laptop for a presentation because it had a full-size HDMI port and my Chromebook does not, and let's face it, the pink case brings out my eyes. I open it up and Chrome is open on Reddit with her signed in. I know IATA here, but I was curious and honestly hoping to find some nudes that we could use later to try and spice things up, idiot. A little backstory. I am an individual with serious mental health challenges and lately my depression has gotten the better of me and was sucking the life out of my wife. She has told me as much. I never thought I would be winning Husband of the Year awards, but I genuinely love my wife and would do anything for her. I'm probably letting myself off too easy. Anyways, in December my wife tells me that she can't handle it anymore and I need to get my stuff together or we're done. I have given every effort possible since then, multiple counseling sessions a week, changes in medicine, changes in careers, and feel like I've made solid progress. Back to my fuck-up. I see her profile and notice the most recent post was really highly liked, 3K+, and even given an award. Cool. Then I read it. I won't go into specifics because some degenerate will track the post down, but needless to say it paints me very negatively. She describes me with very harsh language, and this was all brought on by a fight we had that I will admit was not my finest moment. I get upset after reading the first couple of lines and give up, close out of the browser and prepped for my presentation. Later that night my wife notices that I'm upset and asks me what is wrong. I try to avoid the confrontation because we had been doing so well, but she persists and I break down. I tell her that I saw her post and that I was sorry, I had no right to look at her account. I told her I wasn't angry at her for making the post, but it did really hurt and killed any self-confidence I had left. In a credit to our couple's therapy, we talked it out like adults and she even read me the post in full and said that was it. We make up and all is well, not good but at least okay. As I'm laying in there in bed, something is nagging at me. Something about the way she kept saying that was it made me feel like she was hiding something and lying to me. So I get up and go to the living room and fuck up again by looking her post up and finding her account. I read for hours. She only had one other post about me, but it was fairly generic. Deadbeat husbands asks me to make breakfast on my morning off. I'm working on not doing shit like that now, sorry honey. Then I look at her comments. I get why she lied and said the one post was it, she was protecting my feelings. She hates me. She doesn't think counseling will work. She's just biding her time to kick me out. I am an awful human being with no redeeming qualities. She doesn't enjoy our sex life and feels like it ranges from a forced chore to pathetic and boring. I plan to talk to her about it. I know I am the asshole in this for reading her shit. This is the love of my life and mother of my children. I have destroyed everything good in my life. It's over. I have no chance to save it. And #X200B. Too long did not read. Borrowed my wife's laptop and found her Reddit account. She hates me. Now what happens when she reads this post? You are in couples counseling, and you are in counseling for depression. Don't turn to internet strangers for half-baked advice. Talk to the professionals and let them do the job you are paying them good money to do. Wait. You were hoping to find your wife's nudes uploaded to Reddit? Man, these TIFUs have started going from funny shit to just severely depressing shit recently. There are two possibilities here, op. Either she really hates you, and at least now you know, or she was just blowing off steam to relieve what you yourself admit is the considerable stress she's been under. Either way, you both might want to skip Reddit and make an emergency appointment with your couple's counselor. You don't know for a fact that your marriage is over, and even if it is, your life is not, but you're not gonna find out here. I know it worth nothing, but I'm so sorry to hear that. I sincerely can only imagine how dark your world would turn after finding out. Especially after overcoming harsh situations and believing everything was okay. Just like your wife wasn't likely to find expert advice on Reddit, neither are you. Some people here are saying your relationship is over, but they can't honestly know that. You mentioned you're going into counseling. Is this together with your wife? You also mentioned she wouldn't want to do couple counseling. Are these her words? If they are, I would still try to talk about it to her. If she really doesn't want to, then at least you can have an honest conversation about it. Otherwise, it reads like it would do you both good. If you can find a good emotional-focused therapist near you, that could be a good start for you both. Good luck. What husband thinks, oh dear, I hope my wife posted nudes on the internet. Today I fucked up by doing anal before my gyno exam. This didn't happen today but a week ago. So me, 25F, and my boyfriend, 24M, have sex fairly often. He has a very high sex drive which I luckily match. It's fairly common for us to have morning and evening sex. Anyways, the morning before my exam was the last time I would see him until the following day. Since we wouldn't be able to have sex that evening or the next morning, we planned to do it then. Almost as an afterthought, I realized that I probably shouldn't have sex before the exam for obvious reasons. Anal was a special treat that I typically saved for special occasions because my boyfriend loves it. I enjoy it too, but not quite as much. So we decided to just do anal for that session and it was great. The appointment was at 9:30 in the morning, so our morning routine took place earlier than usual. Thus, we finished up, he finished inside me, I finished getting ready and I was straight out the door. As I was driving to the appointment it hit me that I didn't really think this through. Inevitably I felt it leaking out. Sure, it wasn't a butt exam, but she would still see it. I figured that it might be embarrassing but she wouldn't feel the need to bring it up. Well, she did. Almost immediately as I got into position I felt a signature drip running down my crack. She immediately looked concerned, poked around and asked if I regularly had this type of discharge. I was super embarrassed and could barely form words but I did my best to explain that it was just from sex. Luckily she just gave a small note on how that can interfere with test results and that if there were any vaginal abnormalities they might have to look around in my butt so to be more careful. Perhaps the worst part was when she used a wet wipe all the way down my crack up to my ass, and another one to clean off the table. All without a word. Some discharge was obviously nothing out of the ordinary but I imagined this was a little unpleasant. Oops. TLDR. I had anal sex before a gyno exam because I didn't want to mess it up. Forgot she would see my butthole. Had a doctor clean cum off of me. Edit. I did use the bathroom and wash up before going to the appointment. Some of you don't understand that it doesn't all come out at once. Also, it's normal for him to finish inside me so he didn't consider the appointment when he did it. Otherwise I would have taken it somewhere else. Asked if I regularly had this type of discharge. Only on his birthday. As I was driving to the appointment it hit me that I didn't really think this through. Inevitably I felt it leaking out. Damn, you could have used the restroom before entering the consultation room and wiped it off with toilet paper. Don't most people like sit on the toilet or something else go get rid of it before putting their clothes back on? You let him finish and you then just threw your clothes on and left without cleaning your ass? I feel like this can't be real, right? Every woman I've known is so hyper-aware of their OB/GYN appointments and try to keep super clean prior to getting checked out. Most people shave and prep just to see a doctor who gives zero shits about normal public hair. But jizz leaking out of your butthole didn't occur to you? Pretty sure he could have waited one extra day to be respectful of your appointment. I guess you're also the type of person who goes to the dentist without brushing their teeth. I am just gonna say it. That was so disrespectful. Laughing my ass off. Your poor gyno was probably not loving her job at all during that. This sounds like the musings of a man who has never done anal. Today I fucked up by not bothered to check my router settings for the last 13 years. So I guess I'll preface this by saying the fuck up wasn't today. It was actually every day before this for the last 13 years. I had always assumed I just had shitty internet because I live on a farm way out in the boonies and have to use 4G internet, with my average speed on torrents and speedtest.net being around 300 kilobits per second. Today it got even slower and speedtest showed a ping of like 200. Which was abnormal, so I decided to open the router settings page to see if I could reset the DNS. While doing that I notice my firmware is still the original firmware from 2008, so I update it. Then I got curious and decided to check out the wireless settings, which I had never altered. Turns out just about all the fancy features were turned off, including two labeled turbo and range extender. I live in a big farmhouse and had bought 2 Wi-Fi repeaters to get the signal to every room in the house. Turns out this setting does the same thing. Now the turbo setting is where things got interesting. My internet speed immediately jumped from 300 kilobits per second to 6 Mbps. I feel like such a dumb ass, but to be honest I'm just so stoked to be able to watch Netflix and porn without having to let it buffer for 10 minutes. TLDR, my internet isn't actually shitty, I just didn't have half the features of my router enabled. If your router is 13 years old, that may be a bit of the problem right there. It likely doesn't have the ability to keep up with the wireless speeds your phone and Switch can utilize. I mean, mine is pushing 6 or 7 years, I think, but the router I had in 2009, during my BlackBerry days, was definitely more limited. If best way to see a better representation of your bandwidth will be with a wired device. At least confirm if your limited speed is isolated to wireless. This is def. Some shit I could have done. I believe I ran a speed test on my router when I got my shitty internet. It was bad there too. How? Where did you check your router settings? My takeaway from this is that you have a router that has worked for 13 years. I go through routers every 3-5 years. Some do better than others, but they've all died. Sometimes ugly deaths. With respect to your too long did not read. Your internet is still shitty, just less so than before winking face. If you haven't swapped out your router for 13 years, you probably still aren't getting the speed you're paying for. It takes processing power and plenty of it to keep up with modern internet connections that 13 years ago would have had inconceivable speed. Older router speed topped at pretty modest speeds compared to today, so your old router may also be bottlenecking your connection. 6 Mbps still seems super slow. I get like 50 Mbps. Good for checking. I am kind of the same boat. I flashed several routers 13 years DDWRT ago and have not messed with them since. Yet all my smart things hook up fine, knock on wood. TIFU by looking at a subreddit. This happened over the weekend. I was talking to my partner about BMs, bowel movements, and one thing lead to another. I said, hey, I bet there is a subreddit for poop. So in my excitement that other people may discuss BMs too, I searched for poop on Reddit. Clicked on the first thing that came up, and unbeknownst to me there are pictures. I was so not emotionally prepared for such. I was caught off guard, and began to dry heave. My partner witnessing this all began to laugh and point and ask me what I expected. I begged him to get it off my phone, as I have tears streaming down my face, and don't want to look at any of it. And go back to the vicious cycle of dry heaving. He told me that it was off my phone, he lied. Thus began the cycle of dry heaving and eventually throwing up. Sunday, my back is killing me. I can't think of anything physically straining that I have done recently. And then it dawns on me, it had to be all the dry heaving. It hurts to laugh, it hurts to cough. My partner did try and massage it and said that maybe I got a rib out of place. I am planning on going to a chiropractor today. Too long did not read. Looked at a poop subreddit causing me to hurt my back. This shit has me dying laughing. You must have been pooped from all the dry heaving. Been there, done the same thing. Curiously searched Reddit for something random, clicked a subreddit, clicked the first photo, video. Had to go and reassess my life choices that led to this point and drink a fifth of vodka to clear the mental images from my brain because brain bleach hasn't been invented yet. You have my utmost sympathies, op. Hang on. Dropping this comment so I can come back here easily. Gotta grab my free award to give you. This is the best thing I've read all morning. Open mouth smile. Edit, it's a helpful award. Doesn't exactly fit, but fuck it. I didn't pick. I was hoping for the wholesome award, LMAO. Chiropractors are quacks performing pseudoscience. They do not practice any real form of medicine. Their procedures can also cause permanent damage to your body. Every single thing a chiropractor does can be done by you, in your home, with zero training or preparation required. If you need to have your back checked out, go to an actual doctor with a legitimate degree. A version of this happened to me with asshole. Turns out it is not about mean, weird women as the about implies. It is women's assholes. Don't say I didn't warn you. Edit. Fixed the subname. Thank you, Nissan Leaf driver. I had to look, just once, mother of God. Learn from me. Don't do it. That's shitty.